In a world of dungeons, dragons, and devious DMs, 4 adventurers set out to save the mysterious land of Blaelflow.
I'm Frank Bunty, Dwarven Paladin and all-round badass. I like nothing more than righting wrongs and smiting evil.
I'm Bonarail, a half-elf rogue that'll rob you blind and mess you up.
I'm Lord Sugar, a human wizard noble. I'm rich, I'm better than everyone, and I set fire to everything.
I'm Draco Justice, dragonborn monk. For when justice calls, who will answer? I will. I'm Draco Justice.
And I'm Doddy, the resident DM. I'll be throwing everything at these guys, including the kitchen sink. Ooh, a mimic kitchen sink.
Nerd OD&D from the Nod Network. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and wherever else you get podcasts.
You just release the pressure, because everyone knows the hug is over. Any longer, and it'll be weird.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd OD podcast with your most fabulous host, Reginaldo.
And Dan.
And Dave.
Bad Sean.
It's a full house, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't all get too excited at once. It may never happen again.
Once in a while, all the stars align and we get a foursome of nodlings on this show.
So who's put their Christmas decorations up?
I was talking today to this about someone, and I was talking about, like, once Halloween's over, like, I'm not a big Halloween guy, right? It's not a big thing for me. So once Halloween is over,
you're American.
Yeah, but I don't go for Halloween. I'm not trying to ruin everyone else's day. Like,
He's
if you
also
want to
not
enjoy
American.
it,
He's
shut
fake
up.
American.
Shut up, plastic scouser. Anyway, so it's if people want to get dressed up and do their thing, that's their business. I'm happy for them. I don't want to ruin that for anybody. I'm just not involved. So the moment that's out of the way, I'm ready for Christmas, man. I think I spent years in retail where Christmas songs got drilled into my head. Where I'm fine with that now. Like, I'm totally cool with the idea that it's Christmas now. Let's just get on with it. Because I like Christmas, ultimately. So, listen to Christmas songs, get your tree up, get your decorations up. I'm there for you. I'm all on the same side.
Also, watch Nightmare Before Christmas, the transition film.
I do, yeah. I agree
other.
with that. I feel that definitely is the transition film. That it doesn't mean that you can suddenly put your Christmas decorations up. I understand why some people are putting them up this year early. Like, I saw there's a Christmas tree.
I just thought you meant in general.
No, there was a Christmas tree up in my apartment block like about 2 weeks ago, and I for a second judged them hard, and then I was like, do you know what? Like, time has lost all meaning at the moment, and people just need something to make them feel better. So as long as it was screw this, I'm putting my tree up, I need something, then I'm all for it. But yeah, you can watch Nightmare Before Christmas, and that is the gateway to starting to watch Christmas films, I think.
I have to confess, I'm not one for A Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know why. It doesn't do it for me.
I went to see it at the cinema a few weeks ago before it all closed down again.
That was literally the only time I ever watched it. I went to pictures to see it, and I was like, that was quite good. And then I bought it on video, never watched it. Bought it on DVD, and then I think it was with Ash, and I think Ash was like, I don't think I've ever seen it, and I was like, we will watch this at some point, and then we never did, and we never will.
Now it's on Disney Plus.
So who has their Christmas decorations up?
Well, I'm presuming you've got yours up right now.
I mean,
which is why this conversation started.
I really hope not. I hope the next words are
we are about to.
I felt like I was late putting them up because there's a couple of people in my street that have already got them up.
Yeah, because
so I thought, right, okay, if they're putting them up, I'm putting mine up.
See, that is what happens. That is the slippery slope of, like, well, if it's all right for them, it's going to be all right for me. It always happens. It's a cascade effect.
Well, Ash's mum and dad always put their Christmas decorations up very early. It becomes a running joke that it's like February and it's not up yet. So they've had theirs up for about a week now. Maybe
when I used to live in Aberystwyth, the Christmas lights in the town used to be up all year round, like genuinely, and lit up at night because they wanted to just attract tourists. I think they were trying to be a little mini Welsh Blackpool, but it failed miserably.
I think that's what Ash's mum and dad are doing. Just trying to attract tourists to the house. But no.
25th of November is the earliest it's allowed.
Well, I'd say I don't even think that. I think I've got no say in the matter anyway from the conversation I'm about to have. But I think the very earliest it should ever go up is the first weekend in December.
I agree with that. That's
the very, very earliest. It should always be 12 days before is what I've grew up with, and then 12 days after you take it down. But yeah, we're now putting them up on Saturday. So there's that. So Ash's mum and Chris phoned me up and was just like, Reg, you know where we usually have Oliver like at certain points throughout the month? And I was like, yeah, we'll have him for you on Saturday. And I was like, oh, nice. So like Ash is off, I'm off, and I was like, oh, we're gonna go, have a nice stay, we're gonna go do all these fancy things. And Ash was like, oh, brilliant. Right, do you want to take the step ladders from the mum's to ours so we can get up in the loft? And I was like, well, what are we putting up in the loft? And all of a sudden realization hit me, and I was like, it's the Christmas decks, isn't it? And that's why they're having Oliver. Oh, so like all fancy plans out the window, and it's Christmas decorations, because it shouldn't take all day, and it probably won't. But what happens is I'm dead shit at doing the Christmas tree lights. I fucking hate them. I'm no good at them. I am absolutely fucking awful at them. So then Ash takes over and goes, look, this is how you do it, and does it fairly simple. So I'm like, I'm dead good. I can do this. So then I see my ass. So then she's like, well, fuck you. And then we start on this like little mini stupid tip for no reason. And then obviously we've got the rest of the night Oliver list. I'm like, great, we haven't even got like I'll go up and check on Oliver, everything's fine. So I'm like, oh. So, but hopefully this year it's going to be a really nice, smooth running transition. That's the hope. And we do have a load of Disney ornaments from the website. We sort of fell down a massive rabbit hole on the Disney website. It's not good because we bought, obviously for Oliver's birthday, he got Buzz and Woody. The action figures, and then I seen they had the Buzz Lightyear in the box as a Christmas decoration, and it still like does all the phrases and stuff. And I was like, that's cool. Right, we'll grab that as well. And then I seen they had a Wall-E, and I was like, oh my god, they've got a Wall-E and Eve Christmas decoration. We're having that as well. So we got them, and I was like, that's awesome. And then obviously it's his birthday coming up, and then Disney sent us an email going, hey guys, there's like 30% off all the Toy Story range of figures. And I was like, So while the first sort of week of Oliver having Buzz and Woody and Forky was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, he's now noticed on the back of the box that Jessie's on the back of the box and Bo Peep is on the back of Woody's box. So now all he does is bring the box up to us and just point to the figures and be like, yeah, what I've got is great. Where the fuck are these? And I'm like, right, okay, cool, don't worry. So for now Christmas, he's got Rex, Bo Peep, Jessie, and Bullseye are all coming because they've all got 30% off on the Disney Store website, and they knew that was going to happen. And I'm like, God damn it! And it's
marketing done right.
It is. It's done very.
The problem with the Disney ornaments, though, is that most of them aren't Christmas themed.
Well, are Eva and Wall-E?
The Wall-E one is the Wall-E. They're all wrapped up in string lights, aren't they? Mm-hmm. So that's quite cool. But all the rest are just like, yeah, here's Mickey Mouse.
Speaking of Toy Story, I watched Toy Story 2 yesterday for the first time in a long time, very long time, and I gotta say those films, they aged up. Like every film got up. When there's serious peril, it like amps up to the next level, because some of the shit goes on in Toy Story 2. You're like, damn, this is some grown up shit for a kid's film. And I was really surprised by it, because I only recently saw Toy Story 4, and that was a great film. But I probably haven't seen Toy Story 2 for, I don't know, 10 years, something like that. And watching it through and going, okay, it's actually pretty serious. There's some real sinister moments in this.
Yeah, you don't realise it, do you, when you first proper watch it? But when you go back and watch it now, you're like, ooh, that's quite dark. Like,
yeah.
That's quite grim. And the other thing you notice as well is like Ash now hates watching Toy Story 1 because it graphically aged badly compared to when you watch Toy Story 4 and stuff now. You're like, oh, they've come along a long, long way. So, like, it is grim when you go back and watch the original Toy Story now. You're like, yeah, that doesn't look great.
I'm guessing the Disney Plus version of Toy Story 2 doesn't have the that outtake at the end when what's his name, Kelsey Grammer's character, the Prospector Pete or whatever his name is, Sticky Pete. He's talking to two Barbie dolls and telling them that they can get ahead in this game if they go along with him or whatever. And it's got very Weinstein
that
connotations
definitely
to it.
Wasn't at the end of the film. I can confirm that. Shit.
Watch it. It's on YouTube. I remember watching it at the cinema and not even batting an eyelid, thinking, "Oh, that Kelsey Grammer."
Yeah. Also, when you think about Kelsey Grammer being a crazy right-wing nut job these days, Frasier hits different. If you watch Frasier now, knowing what Kelsey Grammer's up to these days, it's a real different show. Well, either that or he's just a fantastic actor, because you wouldn't believe for a second that he was crazy right-wing batshit. But which he is. So
I hear he's just generally crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
One and the same, really.
Yeah.
So what's everyone been up to other than putting their Christmas trees up?
I thought we were just done there. I got to tell you what I've gotten into, and I'm really surprised because The Witcher, right? My knowledge of The Witcher is not the book series, it's not the excellent game series, it's just the Netflix series, right? That's my only experience of The Witcher. But I've really gotten into. They've got the game Gwent on the iPhone and other smartphones.
That's the card game, right?
Yeah, and it's a lot like Hearthstone. But there's a different kind of tactical edge to it. But it's like it's all within The Witcher, the lore, which I don't really know any of. But I've really gotten into it because it's quite fun and it's addictive, but not in a bad way. And it's the kind of game where you can pay for stuff if you want to, but if you don't actually end up any worse off. It seems, which is quite cool. But yeah, I've gotten into playing that.
I got so drawn into Gwent on The Witcher 3 because you can go around and in The Witcher 3 there's like side missions, so the cards that you get in Gwent, all of them are actually in The Witcher 3, and you go around, you can challenge as many people as you want, and like I spent must be about 40 plus hours just playing Gwent and getting people's cards and losing my cards, my arse massively. And then there was one card that you had a trophy to get like certain cards, and I got most of them. And then when I wasn't thinking, I was looking through I was playing some guy in a tavern, and he played some cards, and I was like, hey, this would be an easy one. And then knew what card I wanted to picked the wrong fucking card, and lost my entire deck.
Oh.
And that cost me. And the worst thing was, as soon as I lost that game, I was like, I can't believe it. And instead of quitting mid-game, I was like, just unbelievable. And when I looked up, it was like, quick save complete. And I was like, oh no, you mother. So that was my entire Gwent thing gone. So when I seen they released it, like standalone, I was like, fuck you. And everything you fucking stand for, Gwent. I'm not a fan of you, Gwent.
So was that in The Witcher 3?
Yeah, and it's damn addictive. It's that standalone game that you've got. Because I was like, I might give it a quick go. And I was like, I just want to play Witcher 3 now.
But what's it like? What is Gwent in the Witcher games? Because I presume it's not the same as this game, because this is very much designed as a mobile game.
So it is literally, apart from obviously the story mode bit that you've got to Gwent and the mobile game, the actual physical game you play is exactly what you play in The Witcher 3. It hasn't changed. So anything special cards and stuff you can get in that you can get in The Witcher 3's version of Gwent. They've obviously added a couple of little mini tidbits to it to make it a bit more of a like, oh, come play this. But it's by the by exactly the same title. It's just for people who had finished The Witcher 3 and don't want to load it back up again just to specifically play Gwent. But like, hey, look, you can play it standalone here now. But yeah, damn, it was addictive. And yeah, that was one of the main. I spent about 80 hours in The Witcher 3 and got nowhere near the end because I spent about half of it literally playing Gwent. But I've been playing Hearthstone again recently after your conversation saying like, oh yeah, you need to, I've been playing Hearthstone. I was like, I missed that. Might have to have a quick go of that. And I've started doing the tavern brawls now because I haven't touched a tavern brawl before. And I've been having so much fun with it because it just randomizes the cards in each hand. So you don't have to think, right, I'm going to build this deck and, I'll put that onto it. It's just literally every single game is just a randomized deck that you get. And I was like, this makes it so much more fun. And I'm having an absolute blast with it. So that's fun because now I've sold my PS4 as well. I've genuinely, I don't possess a console myself. I was saying to Ash before, like, it's really weird. Like, this is the first time ever where I personally don't own a console. Like, Ash owns more consoles than I do. And I was like, that's just fucking weird. And she was like, yeah, but you've got a gaming laptop. And I was like, you're right. And Shadowlands is out tomorrow. So for the people listening yesterday, it's out. So, I've got that to keep me occupied forever. But yeah, it's weird for the first time in history. I'm like, this is very, very bizarre. So I've just been now addicted to playing mobile games because I'm like, while I'm not got the laptop set up, I'll just have a quick go of Hearthstone. Just absolutely smashing through Hearthstone. So much fun.
And that's it. And it's a weird thing where like there's not a lot of games that I play on my phone, but this one just like I'm really enjoying playing this game.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun.
It's interesting that it'd be the same on in the actual Witcher game because it just feels like it's the kind of thing that would be very, very different.
No, it's I think that, like I said, they probably tailored it slightly just to make it a bit more fancier. But it's genuinely, if you like that game, I recommend playing The Witcher 3. And even if you don't do the gazillion mini quests and side quests and stuff, you can just go around town to town just playing Gwent against everybody.
Well, it's very much a game that I wanted to get into at some point, but there's just so many other titles that it's so big that I knew if I got into it, I'm there forever. And also with my Xbox deciding to have moments to itself, that has now, because I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, because I think I told you guys off podcast, but I discovered that my Xbox was just in warranty, about 6 weeks. So I have sent it back to be looked at, hopefully repaired or replaced, and not just sent back and them saying, it's totally fine, because it's not. But I have to wait. It's going back to Frankfurt to be repaired. So I have sent it to Frankfurt, and I am waiting for it to arrive. It should arrive tomorrow. But it's it's a long wait. It's a long wait for it to get there, and hopefully when I get it back, the games I can actually play. Because I'm missing it a little bit.
Talking about Xbox and warranty claims and stuff. Do you remember that time I tried to sue Microsoft?
I do, which is why if it had been out of warranty, I was going to enlist your help to find a way, because I presume there's a loophole somewhere.
Didn't you sue them even though it was your fault?
Yeah, and then I withdrew. So, like, I know I sent the bailiff round and everything. Poor Jan. So I was thinking about this the other day because I was watching this video that popped up on my Facebook videos feed of Microsoft sending this guy to prison for a year and fining him $30,000 because he started a company to recycle e-waste, and he basically reproduced Dell recovery discs to be sold with refurbished laptops, and in the end he got they threw like 15 court cases at him, and the one that stuck was the fact that he used the Dell and the Microsoft icon on the CDs, not for distributing the software. But there was other cases that they tried to take him, but they basically he really upset them. So I was just thinking about this the other day and thinking, okay, if he really upset them...
That could have been you, Sean. That could have been you.
Do you imagine?
It would have been quite entertaining.
Well, I've been doing two things this week, and two of you are going to be very happy with the things I've been doing. One of you is not going to care. One, I finished watching The American Office. Waiting for Sean.
It's
noise and recognition.
Right.
Hang on, the last time I spoke to you, you were at the same point I was, so you must have binged about 3 seasons.
I watched quite a lot. I probably watched about 4 or 5 episodes a night.
So that tells me, Dan, that you weren't paying attention.
No, I was. That was while I was in bed.
So would you agree with what I said in the sense that there wasn't really a bad season?
No, it's very weird. A lot of shows run out of steam once they've gone on for that long, and especially when big cast
the main
members
character
leave.
leaves. Yeah.
Well, quite a few characters drop out along the way, but
Yeah.
every actor or actress that they replaced them with, they got a new person in the office, was great. There wasn't the only person that I wasn't that.
Catherine Tate.
No, she was good. She
Really?
was actually she was actually quite entertaining. It was Plop. It's just he had nothing about him. It was just to facilitate a story where
Who's Plop?
Plop Pete, one of the interns.
Oh yeah, I didn't like him at all.
No. But other than that, everyone was entertaining to the point where, without giving away spoilers of how it all ends, when they show everyone gets reunited at the end. It was just it was really nice going. Oh, it's them. Oh yeah, them. I forgot that they haven't been in it for about 2 years.
Yeah. What did you think of Robert California?
Yeah, he was good. He was a smaller part than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
But rather than having a little chit chat about it, it's really weird that there's a lot of shows that are like that where it's like mockumentary style. So like Modern Family, Parks and Rec, and things like that, where they'll do the interview sections where they're talking about what happened, like a lot of American reality shows will do. And all the way through The Office, I was sat there thinking, and I've never thought it with anything like Modern Family, but they'd show something that someone wasn't supposed to see. Like, I don't know, someone might have done something illegal or something that they didn't want to get out, something was going to be kept a secret. I'm like, but this is, in this world, this is then getting shown on TV because this is a documentary. So everyone's going to see it. And all the way through, I was like, that just really annoys me. It takes away from it that none of them are famous because they've been on TV clearly for like 8 years at this point.
Yeah.
In their universe, they should be famous. Like, why do the Modern Family people not walk down the street and then have people coming up to them and go, "Oh, you're Phil Dunphy"?
But they pointed it out, didn't they?
This is it. In like season 8 and 9 or whatever, the last season, they actually,
that's when it got shown.
They make a point of going, "Oh, we've been filming this for 9 years, and now it's all going to be shown now as like a series." So that was pretty clever, and it was a nice ending.
When Michael Scott left as well, when Thingy left, Steve Carell left, one of his lines was, "Will you let me know when it airs?" So they were making reference to that, and that was like season 5 or season 6.
There were a couple of moments before them that I thought, oh, okay, maybe that makes sense, but it was odd. It suddenly took away this whole thing of me, I don't know, questioning the thing. I'd never thought of it before, but now whenever I watch anything else in the same vein, I'm going to be thinking exactly the same thing.
There's a couple of other things to bring up. Two of my major issues with it was, first of all, what was the name of the owner of the company in the early seasons? The CEO.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What did he think when he watched the show back and saw that Dwight was in his son's bedroom?
True. There's a lot of things like that. There's definitely a lot of moments like that.
And the second thing, where do they put that massive table that's in the conference room when they've got all the seats in?
Yeah. And at no point does anyone who's on camera care that they're on camera. Like, wherever else they go, there'll be a camera there waiting for them. So yeah, it's a bit. The thing is, if you start questioning that, then you just, I don't know, it loses all effect.
There's a podcast called Office Ladies that I would strongly recommend listening to.
Yeah, and who is that? That's two of them, right?
Yeah, because they're friends in real life. It's Jenna Fisher and Angela Kenzie, the girl that plays Angela.
Yeah.
That's another thing as well. Is a lot of the characters have the same first name.
Yeah, it's just easier that way, isn't it?
And you've also got the woman that was in Inside Out, Phyllis. Her name's Phyllis as well.
Yeah.
And she was originally a casting director in The Office, and they couldn't. They eventually wrote her in and said, you should try for this part. And that's what made her famous. She never wanted to be an actor. She just accidentally started doing it in The Office.
What's interesting, the whole sort of cross-pollination of actors and stuff. So I've been watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. which I think is fantastic, and everybody should watch it. And the actor, his name escapes me, unfortunately, who plays Daryl in The Office. I've only seen him in a few scenes, obviously I've not watched it thoroughly, but he plays a recurring character in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he is absolutely phenomenal in that show. But he
is brilliant. He's in Hot Tub Time Machine as well.
It's the thing where he shows up, but in that every episode he shows up, he absolutely makes the episode, and I think that is such a cool thing for someone to have that kind of prowess, where you're like, oh, I know you from these things, and you're always really good.
Yeah. So Dan, can you see why I'm rewatching it? Can you see why I love it?
Yeah, a little bit, because it's
amazing background TV, because there's always something going on.
Especially now you know where it's going. It's sort of, I understand how it would be one day. Definitely not as much as you do, but I could imagine it just being put on. It's like you could put the back in the day when you used to watch TV and not just press a button and watch whatever the heck you wanted.
Yeah.
You'd be flicking through and you'd go to E4 and be like, oh look, Friends is on, or Big Bang Theory's on, or The Simpsons is on, and you could just leave it on, and it could be 70% of the way through an episode, and you wouldn't care, because you've seen it before, and you just want something on. I get that it's like that.
My favorite prank of all time, because they had pranks like they did in the English Office, was the one that never got shown, but they just talked about it. It was the episode when Dwight was listing all the issues he had with Jim, and he's reading them out loud. Toby's reading them, sorry. And one of them is he says he tried to make me hit myself in the face with the phone, and then it cuts to a talking head of Jim who said, "Yeah, I just used to every day I'd come to work before him, and I'd put a penny in his handset, and one day I just took them all out." just the way he explained it, like, you don't have to see it, but it was funny to listen to, like just making his headset heavier and heavier and heavier, and then one day just taking them out. It's brilliant, fantastic. Anyway,
I agree, it's a good show. I don't think you should watch it 10 times though.
I'll watch it as many times as I want.
A lot of the people that were in it, I mean, I know there's some people who've gone on to much bigger and better things, but there are some that I've never seen in anything else, and I don't think ever will. And the guy who plays Stanley, I'm trying to find it while you've been talking. I've been Googling.
He did that music video. It was crazy.
He's doing like he's trying to get a sitcom type thing funded that is just Stanley. I don't know whether he's been given the rights to the character, but it's about him living in Florida. And the stuff that he's put out there to be like, this is what it's going to be like, is just him like sitting on his porch talking to his camera. It's really
I'd watch that.
Really bizarre. And there's about 3 different podcasts about The Office with our Office actors in that just talking about it.
Really?
Wow.
I thought there was only
Very
one.
odd. I'm trying to find it. There was a YouTube video that talked about it all. I'll hopefully find it by the time
I'm trying to think of who wasn't a big, who didn't. I mean, because you've got Ed Helms, he's massive. He was in The Hangover. Yeah. You've got Rainn Wilson. He was in Super. He's been in a few other bits and pieces.
He's been in a lot more notable things than Super.
Rainn Wilson was in Star Trek Discovery, which is
Harry Crumb.
There's a series of Discovery that I've not watched yet, which I do want to, but I feel like he was wildly underused in that series. Like they put him in there, it's like, oh wow, it's
he's the equivalent of Q, wasn't he?
In The Office or in Star Trek Discovery?
In Discovery, he was.
No, you're saying he was underused in what?
Underused in Discovery by far.
Right. Oh well, but he's not a permanent character. It's a character from the original series. I just felt like it was something where whenever he showed up, you're expecting great things because he's a great actor, and then nothing really happened with him, and I was like, oh, okay. But
you've got, you've got Jim, who who went on to do
John Krasinski's done very well.
Yeah, he certainly has.
Yeah,
but like I'm listening to these people talk about their auditions, and as I say, there's some actors on the show that weren't actors until they worked on the show, and then all of a sudden they were actors just out of necessity. Another one's Toby. Toby was one of the script writers, and then they brought him on to actually act.
He seems very odd. He's one of the only people who doesn't seem to belong in the opening credits. So it shows the main actors. It shows Michael Scott, and it shows Pam and Jim, and puts their names, their actors' names, and then it shows him, and he seems like a very I don't think he's a big part of it yet. He's one of the only people that's got his name actually on the opening credits. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
The rest are all while the episode's airing.
But it seems like it was a Kickstarter show for a lot of them. Listening to the podcast, they're all talking about their auditions and stuff, and how they weren't really doing anything else. But another thing that's interesting to me is seeing because I'm listening to two podcasts at the moment. I'm listening to the Office one and to the Scrubs one, and how the Office actors and actresses all seem to be from an improv background. So much so that a lot of the script was just, Jim does something or Dwight does something, and they just used to interact and then film it and see what had happened. So they had a lot of control over what their characters were saying and doing, and just improving a lot of it. And then with Scrubs, you've got this that they're more classically trained actors, where they get a line, they deliver a line, so they can be more methodical with it. And it seems like, despite the fact that there are two very different backgrounds, they make two very good shows. And it's something I'd never really thought about before listening to the podcast.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot to be said for shows that go on for as long as they do. And I think that, for me, 10 series is crazy. That's crazy long time for a show. But you think if it didn't have an improv element to it, there's probably no way it could have lasted. Because if you think about it, you couldn't just have, you can have writers room cranking out stuff, forever. But realistically, you need people to bring something that's a little bit different. And I think that if you've got a cast as talented as that cast was, and you write for a few seasons loads of stuff, and then it's like, okay guys, what do you think? The characters well enough. What should we do now?
Well, to give you an example, in the early seasons, one of the, because Greg, what's his name? Greg Daniels? No, Greg Davis. Was it Greg Daniels? One of the writers. He's the one that went on to do Upload as well. Just an amazing
that's right.
show. One of the directions he gave Angela, because Angela needed to go and speak to Jenna. So she was like, just go and hand her a card, or go and talk to her. And we need to film you going, because we need to see your two characters just interact quietly. So Angela made up a little card for her cat's birthday party. She was invited, so she started inviting people around the office to her cat's birthday party, and made this little card for Jenna and took it over and gave it to her, and they kept that and actually made it a theme of the episode. And that's the kind of improv that they used to do, is go over and talk to her. So she went away and thought about why her character would want to go and talk to her, and it was to invite her to a party.
Well, I found this thing I was talking about, and the actor who plays Stanley, he actually tried to kickstart it. It was a show that he wanted to call Uncle Stan, and he did a little intro video for it to explain what it was going to be and some examples, and it didn't get funded from what I can tell.
Oh, that surprises me, because there's a big following.
But there's a whole thing about a show can be great, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every part of the show is great. It just means that the show was, as some of its parts, was great. You take out, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't watched it 10 times as you have, Sean. The point of Stanley's character is that he's doesn't really do much, right? Isn't that kind of his whole shtick?
And he's sat down and he's sleeping or he's eating, and it's a very one-note joke, but it works.
That's his shtick, right? That's what he does. So the idea that there'd be a series about him, like I'm not interested in that. I mean, I'm not a big enough fan for me to be the target audience anyway. But just thinking about it, it's like it doesn't really hit me as something that would be particularly exciting to watch.
No, there's plenty of characters in that you feel might have a chance. I'm glad they don't, but he seems like the odd one. It's more the fact to me that it's him that's trying to do it.
Yeah, that hits me as kind of odd.
I don't think because I think the show works in the way that it does. And when you talk about reunions and stuff, they already the last episode was a reunion. You know what I mean? They've already done it. They already sort of built that into it. Well,
the weird thing I was thinking about the sort of Michael Schur shows. So Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Office, Parks and Rec specifically.
Yeah.
And I realized that there's a little trope throughout them, which I think is really quite good, where it's they've always got the kind of older men who don't do much, but do land occasional really good jokes. Because you think in The Office you had obviously Kevin and Stanley, in Parks and Rec you had Jerry, and then in Brooklyn Nine-Nine you've got Scully and Hitchcock, and it's a very similar role throughout. But it always, when the jokes come out, they land pretty well. Like I think in Brooklyn Nine-Nine more than the other ones, Scully and Hitchcock are involved in the jokes more. But it's interesting that that's kind of like a trope of a Michael Schur show. Is always going to be a couple of old guys who are just kind of there and don't do much.
Yeah. Did you? What did you think of Mose, Michael Schur's character?
Yeah, I mean, not in it that much though, really, is he? It's just.
But when he is, he's absolutely fantastic.
I like how there's a lot of people that I don't know whether they were already on their way to big things, but loads of people that had little bit parts in it. Like half the cast of Silicon Valley.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. No, what I liked about Mo was not only the fact that he was the writer, but also his character was brought up all the time without him even being in it.
True.
Like one of my favourite lines is when when Dwight finds out that he's a dad. And he's like, and unless somebody taught Mo sex, like it's just brilliant. No, big fan. You said there were two things.
Yeah, well, the other thing is I've been playing Mass Effect Andromeda. So basically two things that I should have probably done like 3 years ago. I finally done. And one, obviously one of them I really enjoyed. Mass Effect Andromeda. I actually can't believe how much I'm enjoying it.
Really?
I'm really annoyed that I just didn't take that plunge and spend that little bit more on bought it like a year or two ago. It was weird. At first I think I was looking for all the problems with it. And it is quite glitchy. But the sort of the gameplay element of it would dump you on a planet and then you would spend the next 6 hours driving around on a planet doing little side missions for people. I was like, okay, I see. This is where they're trying to make it different. It's more like a sort of a world building thing as well as the RPG elements. And at first that bugged me, but now I'm starting to see the sort of the scale of it. I'm really actually enjoying it, and I played it for about 8 hours today.
Wow.
So yeah, it finally happened.
And I'm glad it did. Welcome to the fold, Dan.
Thank you.
Because Andromeda got such a bad rap because it wasn't a direct follow up to the original trilogy. But in itself, it's a good game.
Elements. It's got enough of the talk to this person, go and do this for me, get that, put that there. But I can see that they wanted to mix it up. I just think what they mixed it up with isn't. It just has this. You've got to. Like, for those who don't know, you've got to find planets that you're able to settle on because you're in a completely new galaxy and you've got nowhere to live. You've just got this space station. So you're the Pathfinder and you've got to go and help make these planets that were supposed to be livable, which turned out they're not. You've got to help make them livable by doing stuff that I won't go into because that'll spoil some things. But it is just like every action you do increases the viability of that planet until it's good enough to live on. So it's like, it is almost like it's got these SimCity style aspects in one way, but then it's mixed with a proper BioWare RPG. So it is a bit weird, and they tried something, but it didn't quite work as well. But I'm enjoying it enough.
Nice. Well, with you talking about spending that little bit more just in order to play it a little bit earlier, have you seen that fucking Super Mario Brothers 3 has just got another auction, like sort of record?
Oh, yes, I did. A sealed copy, right?
Yeah, so a sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers 3. So there was one initially earlier this year, right, that went up for sale in the same place. This is for Heritage Auctions, I think it was, where it got sold. Yeah, Heritage. And that sold for $114,000, right? Just because it was sealed. And it was like immaculate condition, like never been opened, always been in a Perspex case and all that sort of stuff. But this one is apparently slightly unique. There's only a few made like this. And it went up and it got a record price of $156,000 for this sealed title, because where it says Super Mario Bros. 3, and obviously everyone knows the picture of Super Mario Bros. 3, it's Mario in the little raccoon suit flying. The Bros covers the glove, whereas everyone else's copy of it, it's in the space between like his ear and the 3, where there's enough space for it to make Bros and not be in the way of anything. So because it's there, it's gotten stupidly rare. It's utterly ridiculous. It's like the one thing I'd love to know is, back in the day when the NES came out, who bought this game and was like, one day, number 3 is going to be the most valuable thing I'll ever possess, so I will keep hold of this. Not Super Mario 1, which kickstarted everything. We've gone, the third one's going to be the one that's going to make us the money. And just sealed, I kept it sealed and put it somewhere.
I'm keeping it. One for me, one for an investment.
Yeah.
And noticed, hang on, the glove is in the wrong place.
Yeah,
it is weird though, isn't it? Because like I don't think about Super Mario 2. Like I don't really remember what happened in Super Mario 2 at all, and yet Super Mario 3 I remember quite a bit, because you could fly and you could do cool stuff. So it's weird, isn't it? Because it's like the first game, of course, first game's iconic. Always remember it. Second one, like I remember the cover had Super Mario after you had like the flower and you could spit fireballs. That's all I remember. That's literally all I remember about number 2.
Isn't that the thing though? Isn't number 2 what became the Lost Levels when it was finally released?
So the actual Super Mario Brothers 2 is the Lost Levels. The Super Mario Brothers 2 that was released over here was a different game completely. But then they were like, shit, we need a game quickly that's slightly different than this for the Western audience. So they went, can we just put Mario in this instead? And just like literally the bosses apart from Bowser, everything's the same. So that's why all the enemies are different in it. That's why it's got it looks as though you're in like a mini theatre play, and it's like it ends up being a dream. At the end of it, because it was based on another game completely. They altered the start of it, which is why it's like, oh, surprisingly, it was all a dream, and why there was 4 characters to choose from instead of just Mario and Luigi, because they basically just stole someone else's game and went, have that. But yeah, you're right, it's him and a little turnip that he's launching in the blue sky. It's a great game. I think Super Mario Brothers 2 R1 is severely underrated. Like everyone slags it off because obviously it's like the Silent Hill 4. Everyone slags off Silent Hill 4 because it wasn't a Silent Hill game. They were like, they got through all of this game and then they were like, right, hang on a minute, why don't we just slap Silent Hill on it and just retheme it around Silent Hill? And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll make money from that. And they did the same Super Mario Brothers 2, and it's like they're both great games, like massively underrated titles, but because obviously of that, everyone's like, oh no, it's the worst in the franchise. Like, it's really not. Like,
it's weird to say that, because when you said that, it made me think of and not necessarily for the exact same reason, but I don't, obviously, everyone knows that I'm not a massive Resident Evil player. I don't do well with horror games in general. However, Resident Evil 4 really always confused me because, and again, I got this from watching people play as opposed to playing myself, but it felt very much like it was a different game because the zombie element was like the loosest part of it almost. And it felt to me like that was a similar thing where maybe it was a different game, which they then thought, oh no, we'll make it a Resident Evil title. I don't know if I don't know any of the story behind it, but that's kind of always how it felt to me because it didn't feel at all like the previous games, and their zombie elements to it.
Yeah. So what happened was Resident Evil 4 had about 3 or 4 different versions of what it was going to be, but originally you had obviously Resident Evil 1 to 3, then you had Code Veronica that come out, and then you also had the Dino Crisis series in between it all. And Capcom were just getting the reputation for just cranking out the exact same thing. I can't remember his name. I think it's Shigeru Mikami or something like that, who's the guy who created Resident Evil, was like, let's do something completely different then. So just came in and was like, right, let's fucking completely mix it all up. And did number 4, and then was like, actually, no, I think we've strayed a bit too far away. And it was like, okay, so why don't we just, instead of having it as like the zombies, what we'll do is we'll have this new virus that's come out, and this is what's happening. So that's why it's a shift away from the zombies, and it's this new Ebola virus or whatever it's called that's come through, and that's why it's set in a completely different part of the world. Because they just need to try and make it fresh to be like basically turn around to everyone and be like, fuck you, look, we can do something different. And then it went amazing. So then number 5 and 6 were like, hey, let's follow suit, this is brilliant. And then it basically just, the formula got watered down again. And then everyone like, look, it's just getting more ridiculous now, just awful, shape it back up again. So that's why Resident Evil 7 is a first person. Because like, okay, let's mix it all up and make it completely different, and let's try and start fresh and go back to the actual horror roots instead of the action titles. But yeah, I mean, Resi 4, like that's probably in my opinion, the most overrated Resi game of all time. Like everyone seems to love it, and apparently, so Capcom got hacked, didn't they? I don't know if you know the other week, and some scary stuff happened, like. The leaked the names and addresses and telephone numbers of loads of Capcom employees, which is just awful. But they also leaked a load of titles that are going to be coming out. So we are definitely going to be getting a Dragon's Dogma 2, which is coming out. We're going to be getting a like the usual bog standard Capcom games, but more surprisingly, they've actually put down we're going to get a remake of Resident Evil 4. So not even just like a remastered, shiny version. They're actually going to completely from the ground up redo Resident Evil 4 again as well. Because it hasn't been out on as many consoles as they needed it to be.
They've done very well though, haven't they? These remakes that they've been doing.
Yeah, but the thing is that they've completely changed it up with 1 to 3. Like one of my all-time favorite Resi game is obviously Resident Evil 1, because it's just, that intro is just chef kiss beautiful. But the entire game was phenomenal, and 2 was great, and 3 was stunning. But I love that with the remakes that they've started coming out and doing, it's like they've just put brand new layers on everything, added new puzzles to it, doing new sections to them, making everything all different, and it feels like you're playing a fresh game, even though you know the premise. So, like with Resident Evil 2, for example's sake, you've got the big dude, Mr. X, who just he stalks you all the way through instead of just like a certain section like you did in Resident Evil 2 originally. They're like, okay, let's add some tense atmosphere to it. Let's have it all the way through, which is brilliant. And number 3, they've added like a load of new things and bits and pieces to number 3. I haven't had as much chance to play it, obviously, because it came out just after Oliver and whatnot, so I haven't had a chance to give it the full attention it deserves. But from what I've seen, obviously they've mixed up a lot of it and obviously changed the camera angles and stuff like that to it. So, I think Resident Evil 4, because it was looking good anyway at its time, and with Resident Evil like 2 and 3 remakes that have came out, they've sort of had a similar sort of, over the shoulder typey, shooty, mechanic-y. I can't see how 4 is going to go, oh my god, that's a complete different, fresh take on it. Unless they go, hey, it's a first person, or they go to static cameras. If they do static camera ones, then I'll be all over it. Because that's the only thing that I do miss with the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake. Is the fact that it's not, like the camera's in the top corner of the room and it follows it around on each individual thing. Like, I miss that. To me, part of the suspense and the thing was you go into the next corner of the room and all of a sudden there's a zombie right in front of you and you shit yourself. Like, you don't have that in 2 and 3 because it's everything, the engine is so good and our consoles are now so powerful, it can render everything it needs to do. So you lack that little bit of, ooh, but they are damn good. But
it does surprise me that it took so long for them to get a first-person Resident Evil, because for me, like, despite the fact that there were definitely scary moments of all the games that preceded them in that franchise, like the idea of walking into a place first-person view and the zombie coming at you from a side room or something, that would properly shit me up.
Yeah.
Like, way more than anything in the other games,
That's it. Like, the thing I loved with the original Resident Evil, when it came out on the PC and stuff, PC, well, it did come on the PC, but on the PlayStation, was because it wasn't powerful enough to load up everything straight away on the PlayStation. You had to come up with the unique load screen, which was the door. So when you approach the door in first person, the door opens and you go through into the next room. 9 times out of 10, it's just a black screen with the door and you go through. But every now and again, there'll be a zombie just in that load screen, and you're like, oh fuck, and it's just like proper, like, oh my god. But it wouldn't be directly in front of you. 9 times out of 10, when you actually get into that room, it's somewhere in that room, like, oh my god, right, okay, so it's somewhere. But you always had that, oh, let's keep it fresh, oh, that's a bit nice. But yeah, the first person, like, when I sold my the PlayStation 4, the dude who bought it was lovely. He was mental, so I had a text from him to say, I'm going to rock up, don't be alarmed, I'm wearing a cowboy hat and boots. I was like, okay, interesting. And he was the most Texas sounding person, like, ever. And I was like, wow, that's like, he was brilliant. He's like quite an old dude, but apparently he's a delivery driver, and apparently he used to get kicks from like the customers when he rocks up at the door in his cowboy hat and boots. So they're like, oh, make a joke out of it, and that was like his thing to start like the banter through. But you come to collect it, and I was like, do you want to step in? And he's like, no, it's fine. I was like, well, I want to show you that everything is in here and everything works fine and stuff. And he was like, I've never had a VR headset thing before. He was like, gone up in, I'm probably going to, be sick, or, if it's going to be too scary for me, no matter what it is I play. And I was like, don't play Resident Evil 7 then. And he was like, why not? I went, honestly, like, I love me horror games, but Resident Evil 7 definitely shit me up massively. It was like, it's one of the best experiences I've ever had when I've been gaming, but also the scariest thing I've ever had when I've been gaming. I said, it's fantastic like that. And he's like, well, to be fair, my brother's got a weak heart, so this will probably be what I need to see him off. I was like, wow. And I was like, fuck me. But he was so funny. And then I was like, as soon as it went, I just had that, like, I think this is the first time I've been sad to see something go. So it's just like,
I thought you got rid of all your retro consoles.
I did. That's what I say. I don't have a console at all. I've got nothing. No. But I think the sad thing, obviously, getting rid of the retro consoles is, that was heartbreaking. Rather than, but I kept them obviously for Oliver and stuff. But yeah, there was reasons why they had to go. So I was like, I've got the 4, and then I was like, I'll be fine. I'll get the 5 at some point. And then obviously Sony like, don't expect any sort of stock until after like Christmas. Expect it about Feb time. I'm like, February. It's quite a long time to be around a console now it's sold.
Well, there's a question about that. There's a question about the stock levels, right? How come? And you could say, oh, because the demand is unprecedented. Okay, yeah, whatever. Like, Sony and Microsoft both have been floating these releases for a long time, and they both go, yeah, they're sold. Oh, we're all out. Sorry, it's going to be a long time. And like, I know coronavirus, I know all that, but you're telling me they haven't got factories churning this stuff out? Like, come on, guys. why you got all these delays? Why is it not available anywhere? But
there's a massive part of me that is genuinely thinking that they do have a warehouse full of them, and all they're doing at the minute is drip feeding it to get the headlines and get the cash. Because there's the amount of times you could go into, so like I know obviously like you just said, the coronavirus and blah 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 has got a huge impact on it and stuff, but there's not a time where you could never walk into a Tesco's or a game and just be like, right, can I have an Xbox One? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, even on launch day, there's like, oh yeah, we've only got a few spare. And then you go in the back and there's like 40,000. And like, oh, there's only a couple left on the shelf. So, but now it's literally a case of, yeah, we've got nothing and don't expect anything. But it's in all the papers, in all the headlines. Admittedly, scalpers are making a fucking killing. But there's a massive part of me thinking, I wonder if it's because usually they make too many for the demand, so they lose a lot of money in the forefront, whereas now it's easy for them to gauge sort of the money they're going to be making. So they'll be like, okay, tell you what, release a few more, then release a few more, and just drip feed it through that way, so they know they're not going to just be like whacking out a huge volume of them and just lose out on a load of money. It's just, I don't know, there's something that just doesn't sit, like you were saying, there's something that doesn't sit right at all, because there's so many. I'm pretty sure these be classed as key workers because they're bringing entertainment to households.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for why they can't be in a factory doing this. So why can't they and why haven't they? It doesn't make much sense. So it's a very confusing one, to be fair. But at the same time, it gives me more time to play WoW. So I'm all right with that. And also for everything to figure out all their faults. So obviously when it launched over here in the UK, they already had a day one patch for the system updates and the firmware for the PlayStation to make sure, because after all, everyone kicking off that nothing was working right. When it did launch over in the States and Japan, they were like, don't worry, right, sort it for the UK release, and apparently it did. Have you seen now that the quick resume function on the Xbox very rarely works, and most of the major titles now have taken it off their actual service? So I'm like, well, until they get that resolved, that's probably not going to be a thing, which is just mad. And like Cyberpunk's out in the world on the PS4 now. Like, people are actually playing it and streaming it, even though it shouldn't be sold yet. It's like, it's not out till next month, but like that, it does look damn good. You can watch someone playing it. Obviously, you just type, I can't remember his name. What the fuck was his name? There was some dude's name who basically went, I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but fuck it, and just started streaming it on Twitch. He streamed like 20 minutes until he got shut down. But apparently you can still watch it. It's up live there, the first 20 minutes of Cyberpunk 2077 on the PS4. And even on the PS4, damn, it looks good. Mm-hmm. Like, it really does look good. It was one of those titles that I was like, you know what? I don't really have a great amount of interest in it. And I think it's going back to talking about changing things up massively. With CD Projekt Red, I'm used to their RPGs being like proper full-on medieval-y type, the Witcher series. And then like, hey, here's a first-person futuristic RPG. So I'm like, so it's like Deus Ex, but is it any different than Deus Ex? And I wasn't really that bothered about it. And then I watched this, and I'm like, oh, that looks nice. Like, oh, that looks really nice. Okay, now you have me. Now I'm very fucking interested, because it looks stunning, and gameplay-wise, it looks awesome.
Well, I've got a different relationship with Cyberpunk, because I played the original, tabletop role-playing game, the old book version, what it was called Cyberpunk 2020, because it was released in like the late 80s. So the 2020 was the future.
We'll never get to 2020.
Yeah, we'll be flying cars. But I played that role-playing game. So, characters like Johnny Silverhand and stuff, like they were characters in Cyberpunk 2020. And I gotta say, I am pretty stoked about the idea of playing a game set in Night City, because I did a lot of role-playing in that and a lot of street samurai crime type stuff. So, pretty excited. And I think it's not having played The Witcher. and everyone's saying how great The Witcher 3 was, and then CD Projekt Red doing this, and them having a pedigree as being a really good publisher, then I'm into it. I am into it. Don't know when I'll have time to play it, as you well know, Reg, but I'm definitely going to give it a solid go because I want to play this game.
Yeah, I was telling one of the lads that I work with, because all he's been going on about is Cyberpunk 2077 sole reason for him breathing at the minute. And I was like, yeah, I said one of the lads I do the pod with, Dave, said he's massively into it. And he's like massively into it, like how? It's not even out yet, because he's been playing the tabletop game it's based on. And he was like, oh yeah, I knew it was based on a tabletop game. I was like, you didn't, did you? And he's like, yeah, I did. I'm like, no, you didn't. It's like, well, I might not have done, no, but now I know I'm good. And so we went off, and then he came back like about 2 days later, and he's like, so I've been watching a load of YouTube vids of people playing. I was like, fuck's sake. So I was like, but he's massively into the whole prospect of this, like stupidly excited about it. But in fact, yeah, this is the first one we've done since the launch, isn't it, of the PS5?
Since the UK launch.
Yeah, right, cool. So it hit Thursday, I think, when it was coming through. So I was sitting in work. Usually we have a phone call at about 8:30, 8:45 in the morning to say, right, what's the plan for the day? What roles you're working on? What we're doing? And the PlayStation launch day hit. Logged on, I had my brew, got my call list ready of like what I'm going to be doing for the day and whatnot. And the phone call happened, and he was like, right, lads, shut up, calm down. Reg, you've got, I had AO, Argos, Berry, and Dixon's PC World to look at. You give Mike a load of other websites to look at, and he's like, the hunt is now, whoever finds a PS5 first for me wins half a day off. And I will give you my credit card details right now. 3, 2, 1, let's go. I was like, okay. And it was the first time Ash has had a day off in the week for ages. And I was like, I swear I am so fucking busy with work. I'm just literally up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon looking, didn't do a single fucking thing apart from look for a fucking PS5 for my boss. But as I was doing it, Mike was like, "Oh my god, they've got one on AO," and I was like, "Oh, amazing." He was like, "Oh no, it's not. It's Berry." And I was like, "Shit, I should have been on Berry. I'm so sorry. I was doing work in between it." And he's like, "Should I buy it?" Mark didn't respond, and he was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to get it myself then." So he got it. He was like sat in the queue, finally managed to get it, and then Mark was like, "I've got one in the John Lewis." He was like, I've got one." I was like buzzing. And then about 20 minutes later, he got an email through going, "I'm sorry, we over predicted how many people actually had it in their basket. You don't possess a PS5." And he's like, "You bastards!" Like, "We'll refund you. It'll take up to 7 to 10 days." He was like,
"That's bullshit."
What? And he's like, "I haven't even got anything yet. It was a fucking that's just bullshit." And he was like, "Fuck!" So he upped the limit on his credit card and was like, "Right, okay, then let's go." And then we kept going, and he eventually managed to get one. 4:45 from Game, of all places. And then they were like, "You'll get yours up by the 2nd of December." And Mike was due to have his on this Saturday coming up. And then they were both dead excited about it because Mike had no interest in getting a PS5 yet. He was like, "I'm going to wait till the next model because everything I possess is black and this is white, and I don't want a white console. I want a black console, and it'll have a bigger memory." And I don't. And me and Mark were just like, "We're going to get PS5s today. We're going to get PS5s today," and like so excited about it. And he got caught up in hype and just fucking bought a PS5. And he was like, "Shit, I've got to tell the wife now. I've just bought a PS5. Like, what am I going to do?" And then he was the only one for ages that had one. And his was coming on the Saturday. And he's like, "I don't even have enough time to think. Shit, I can sell this. I can do this, and everything will be all right." So he told his missus, like, "Yeah, so this is happening. It's going to turn up on Saturday, and I'm sorry." And then he got an email through that was literally like going, "Right, yeah, you do have one, but it's not going to be at the actual guaranteed time we thought it was going to be. You're now looking towards the 13th of December is when it's going to be coming through." And he was like, "Fuck, that's a lot longer than I expected it. Seems it's going to turn up on Saturday." So Mark started laughing, going, "Well, I'll have mine before yours, sucker." Started laughing. Then Mark got an email through going, "Yeah, you're going to have yours between the 20th and the 31st of December." And he was like, "Oh man." So he's had just shy of it. No, in fact, it was over £1,000 because both times he had to buy it with an extra pad in order to secure a PS5. He couldn't have it just by itself. So he spent over £1,000, and he still doesn't have anything yet in his possession. I was like, how brutal is that? And I was like, it's just awful. But this made me laugh, and then I just started winding Mike up, going, well, yeah, you know what? I'm probably going to wait now, seeing as you've got these issues. I'm probably just going to wait for the next model, where the black going to have the more memory, make sure everything's going to be nice and pretty. And then hit Black Friday, and I was like, oh, Black Friday week's up. Right, so I'm going to start buying shit now. So I started buying Christmas presents and stuff, and then realised that I just blew all the fucking money I sold the PS4 for, so now I can't afford a PS5. And I'm like, oh no, I was only joking to begin with, but now I physically don't have the money to do so. So I am going to have to wait until they come into some retail stores and then be like, right, I can afford one now, let's go.
Well, I've got one really important question from all of that story.
Yep.
And that is, if you're the sort of person that wants to wear a cowboy hat all the time, would you really feel the need to announce it to anyone to say, I'm not weird, I just wear a cowboy hat?
I think it's because his thing is, to me, is when you open up the door at 9 o'clock to somebody on a Saturday night during COVID times, you want to make sure you know who's arriving at your door.
Right.
And because he had the mask on as well, it was just sort of a case of like, you could only see his eyes and like the rest of his beard, because he had a proper ZZ Top beard, like all the way down. It was a beautiful, beautiful beard. But yeah, apparently he has to announce it. And I don't know why. But then he told me his entire backstory and everything. Like he was a nutter, an absolute nutter, to be fair. But yeah, so I wish him all the best with his. But the one thing that did frustrate me was I sold everything, and I fucking stupidly put Shenmue 1 and 2 in the pile. Kept 3 away from the side. But forgetting about Shenmue 1 and 2, that was in the collection. And he sent me a text going, Shenmue 1 and 2 disc isn't in the case. Do you think it's going to be in the console? And I was like, Shenmue 1 and 2 case? I was like, oh no. I saw Shenmue 1 and 2. And I was like, no, I don't possess a copy of Shenmue 1 or 2. And I'm like, fuck. Right. Okay. I was like, it shouldn't be in the console, no, because it wasn't the last game I played. It was Shenmue 3 was the last game I played, so it wouldn't be in there. Shenmue 3 isn't in my collection. I was like, no, you're right. It's not, because it wasn't in the offer.
No.
I was like, it's literally sat at my desk. So I was like, don't worry, I'll find the game and send it off, or give me the case and I'll knock 15 quid off and give you 15 quid back. It's completely up to you, whatever you want to do. He was like, oh, just find me the disc, it's fine. And I was like, okay, will do.
15 quid. Reg, you can buy that for about 8.
Okay. Just give me 1 second, sorry. That's right, stop now. That's just phone me ringing. She's gone up to check Oliver. But yeah, I was just like, right, I can sort that. I was like, no, don't worry. Just send me the disc when you find it. No rush. And I was like, okay. And I don't know why I did it, but I put Shenmue 1 and 2 in the Shenmue 3 case along with Shenmue 3. And I don't know why I've done that, because I don't know when I've done that either. I must have done that such a long time ago, just completely forgot. But it wasn't in its case. But no, I will. I'll have that, and I've also found out as well I do have a second copy, so I'm all right. So I might give it to him at some point. So yeah, that was my
sharing the love, Reg. Introducing another person to the wondrousness of Shenmue.
Indeed, and it's a very beautiful thing to share. Also, on the day of the launch of the PS5, Shenmue 1 and 2 came out on Steam. So it was a very momentous day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I always like when you share Shenmue stories with us, Reg. Makes me feel warm. Makes me feel like you must feel when I talk about Mass Effect for hours on end.
Well, this is the thing that got me, because Dan mentioned Mass Effect, and I thought, shit,
not having this.
I can't not have a Shenmue story.
Yeah.
So I had to do that. So there you go, guys. Also,
makes me feel confused. I still don't know what's going on.
It's a game about a killer whale, so it's fine. So I got a new phone as well, and got very excited. So I asked Dan where you guys got your personalised Nerd OD phone cases for, so I could get one. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it, and I'm going to have a Shenmue one, and I'm going to have a Shenmue phone case, because that's much better than the Nerd OD one. And then I had an email through after just getting it now to say, you don't own the copyright for that, fuck you. And I was like, oh, okay, I won't have the personalized Shenmue phone case then. So I've gone for something different, which does include, I don't know if this is going to be okay or not, because I don't know how you found out if it worked or not. It has got Nerd OD in it. It's like a little mini collage thing, and it's got Nerd OD stuff in there. So it says, do you own the copyright for this? And I was like, yes, because I think we do.
It's not copyrighted.
Oh.
Then we're all right then.
Yeah, my dad still has that Nerd OD case on his on the phone I gave him. So he's up in Scotland somewhere with the Nerd OD case. He's represent.
Nice.
With official merch.
That's what we like.
I'm waiting for the day where he messages me being like, someone came up to me today and asked me if I listened.
I remember when someone texted me that I know and said, "Oh, Days, I've just seen someone walking around with a Nerd OD t-shirt around Cheshire Oaks."
And it was me.
And I was like, well, we don't sell them, so yeah, that must be one of the guys, because we're having a meeting. We're having a meeting at the Harvester, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, do I tell him this, or do I just go, oh, yeah, well, yeah, there's a few of them out there.
One day, sir. One day. I need to get back onto that Redbubble and finalise that, so at least if anybody is interested in having them, they can have them. Because, there's that. And now Doddy's got his Southern Games stuff up there, and I was like, shit. Yeah, we really need to start putting ours on there, and then just having like a little bit of a copyright of Nerd OD at the bottom of his Southern Games stuff.
Exactly.
One day. So...
And with that, I think it's time to peace out.
You bring it to a gentle close, like a warm embrace. Just at the end, when you just release the pressure, because everyone knows the hug is over. Any longer, and it'll be weird.
And
also, it's COVID, so we shouldn't be hugging.
No, I said like an embrace. Don't ruin my analogy. Don't ruin my beautiful moment with virus talk.
All right, well, don't come anywhere near me. You're riddled.
I am not riddled.
If it helps, I do have 11 different tabs open of stories I wanted to talk about today, but during the office talk, I thought, this isn't going to end, ever. So I closed everything in there thinking, yeah, that's not going to happen. And then towards the end, I was like, shit, hang on, this is finishing about it. We need to reopen up these tabs again.
Yeah, potentially, Reg, you could have watched half an episode of The Office while we were talking about it.
I know, but I prefer to do decent things.
But did you say that because you've never watched it, but it's now become one of these things that you will insist you'll never watch, like Napoleon Dynamite? Or
have you not seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah, no, this is so...
It got ruined.
So the US office is the same as what happened with Napoleon Dynamite, where Kim and everyone kept talking and saying, oh my God, this is the best thing you're ever going to watch. And I was like, okay, brilliant. So like a year later, I was like, I'm going to watch it. And I was like, yeah, it's not funny. It's not, you've well overhyped this. The same as the US office, the same as Gavin and Stacey.
I made you...
There's so many things.
I made you a delicious bath.
It means nothing to me.
Out of all the quotes that you could take from Napoleon Dynamite,
it's one of my favourites.
So I'm just glad that I got into Scott Pilgrim before we started talking about it, because otherwise,
I've ruined that film for so many people.
Yeah, same.
Proud of it.
So there you go. I have watched a couple of episodes of the US Office. Might have laughed once.
It's definitely one of those things where you need to watch a lot before you really get into it, and then when you really do get into it, it's you're sort of in. It was the second time I tried, to be honest. I got through the first season.
First season's hard.
First season's just a redoing of the.
Hang on. We're talking about The Office again. We already said goodbye. We've already said goodbye to people. We can't be back on the... Reg was making a point about how we spoke about The Office for 4.5 hours, and you've gone back onto it.
No.
Reg, I mean, you're partly to blame here. You reopened this door.
It's fine. I'm editing it, so I'm just going to cut out all of the office talk and just have a 3-minute pod. So it's fine.
I think basically if you can get past diversity there, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we're out of here. Let's go. Bye, everyone. It has been a pleasure.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Bye. Bye.